What's up, you guys? UFO Proof here. Well, we were a little bit late. We got caught up in some nasty weather in Walla Walla. We went through a fog bank, which basically took us down to like 5 miles an hour, blocked out the sun. It was like 1:30 in the afternoon, man, and the sun was completely blocked out from the. I mean, you couldn't see. I in fact actually have it on camera where the sun was going from like just a little pin dot to going to just gone, dude, in the fog bank. And so that kind of sucked. And then one of the places we were gone was freaking closed. This store, and it was fucking. It was bullshit, dude. But I was so amped up and stoked about all the cool stuff that Snooch got us. That was just like I didn't give a shit. But we are back now, and so I won't get the link for everybody. Like I said, today is my birthday, and so I don't have any topics of discussion other than it's my birthday. So if you want to come on here and talk about a subject you find interesting, UFO related, feel free. But we'll talk about whatever, So let me get the link out here for you guys. What's up, brother? You can grab a pop if you want. Okay. Got my boy Ben here. What's going on, Sean? What up, Paul? Smooth Virus, how you guys doing? Oh yeah, no shit, dude. What up, UFO, bro? How you doing, brother? Paul, doing good? So chill, everybody. Smooth, feel free. Come on, here is the link right here. Come join me for my birthday, and we're gonna discuss whatever. I don't really care. It's open topics, but let's try to keep the cussing, even though I've already been cussing. We'll try to keep it to a minimum, but it is my birthday, so yeah, I'm obviously gonna cuss a little bit. And if we do any smoking or anything, anybody, or drinking, do it off a camera like my boy Ben is doing, if we could do that, that would be fantastic. Just because you know how these assholes have been lately. So pull this up. Come on down. Thank you, sir. Say what's up, Ben.
What's going on, guys?
So yeah, that was quite a crappy adventure we were on, dude. That really sucked, man. We went all the way out there, and we were going to the store, and had to stop for a couple other places, and the main place we went to was closed, and we're like, crap, and the weather was so crappy and shitty and just foggy and dark, and it was
kind of nice here. I didn't expect to drop down that hill and go into absolute darkness.
Yeah, it's like we went down the hill. We saw the fog like coming at us. Like it was like a wall, dude. We're like, oh crap, dude. And we went into it, man. And it just slowly, we watched the sun just go and disappeared, man. I got it on camera too. What's going on, Sean? What's going up? Sergeant Chill, how you guys doing?
Hello, happy birthday.
Oh, I forgot. I gotta turn on the stereo.
So I only caught part of the show earlier. I had to just watch it now when I got off.
Say it again, buddy. I couldn't hear you.
I was working earlier, so I was only moderating and watching back and forth as much as I could. And
that's okay.
I finished the video here at home, and that's pretty impressive. That's a good birthday, huh?
Shit, hell yeah, dude. Tell me about it, man. How cool was that, man?
That's got to be top 5, maybe top 3 birthdays ever.
Oh yeah, dude. No, I mean for real. And not only that, because dude, go check your door. You know, I was like, dude, like you couldn't script that out, dude. I mean, that was so perfect, man. That was unreal, man. You know, oh, so super cool, dude.
Yeah.
You know, happy birthday to your squashed tomato and stew.
What?
What? It's got to be like a European thing or something. Right? Sean, what is he talking about? You know what that means?
What happened?
Squashed tomato. He's just messing with you. That's all I can say.
Oh, obviously he's messing with me, but I just don't. Robert, he's saying, one of the comments says, happy birthday to you, squash, tomato, and stew. Rhyme. Happy birthday to you, squash, tomato, and stew. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
Is that it?
Maybe they'll make you a custom birthday card with sprinkles and school glue.
Some elbow macaronis, man.
There you go.
Right. Golf man, what up, Golf man? I see you got some nice presents. Good on you.
I'm grabbing some bud.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
Did I bring this up on the live chat? Where
What's up?
the shamans in South America and Central America we know they were taking ayahuasca, but what if they were having?
Hang on, Sean. Hey, what up, Orchestrated Madness?
Hello, sir. How are you?
But you got something echoing, dude.
We all know the rules. You ain't running the mouth on mute.
Keep it on mute. Yeah.
Is that mucho better?
Thank you, Robert. Yeah, so you might want to figure that out, brother. All right.
So it's no bueno.
Hello, see how it's working. Okay, I think it's good. All right, Sean, go ahead. What were you saying, brother?
So we know that the shamans and such in South America were taking ayahuasca along with psychedelics. You know, they had the ganja, they had the hashish, they got all that good stuff. You know, they even had like forms of acid. So, you know, they say that when you take that ayahuasca and the DMT stuff, you start to see maybe beings from another dimension, or even if they are figments and they're not actually there. But the one saying is, you know, they see gnomes who are clockwork gnomes, and they are always working on machines and mechanisms. And I'm wondering if a lot of the architecture in South America kind of reminds me of like machinery, not stone or even architecture at all. It really just looks like machines. Kind of similar to India, but not quite. It just looks like gears to me. A lot of gear work.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And you think that there might be some kind of what up, Blank? You think there might be some kind of correlation between what maybe gray aliens and what these shamans are considering to be gnomes working on mechanisms or something?
Well,
am I getting this right?
So a lot of people have experiences after taking these drugs, and they claim to see little people who are like little mechanics. So the way people describe them is gnomes and clockwork gnomes, like steampunk. So I'm wondering if it might just be another dimension and they're tapping into it like telepathically, kind of.
Well, like the drug itself is inducing this effect,
like magic sight. Let's just be plain about it, like magic sight into another.
We had a discussion on this before. I mean, what if the drug itself is actually opening up a sense in your brain that's actually allowing you to receive another form of data, another way of having
like a DMT experience.
Yeah, like you'll say a DMT experience is in fact, a way to open up the some kind of so you have a hearing
receive another frequency.
You put a hearing aid in, and it makes it so you can hear better. Okay, you put binoculars up to your eyes, you can see better. And so, what if there's a chemical that opens up a part of your brain that doesn't really work that well, and it allows you to receive information in another way. And so you can always, now you might have the ability to kind of see.
I call it lifting the veil.
You call it
lifting
what?
The veil. Lifting the veil.
Kind of lift the veil.
Or peeking through your blinds, like out of your window, something like that.
Yeah.
But isn't ayahuasca and DMT only in the Americas? I don't think it exists anywhere else.
Correct.
No,
Speaking of steampunk.
So it also exists in small amounts in your body.
That would explain the architecture.
Itself, like where you're getting DMT from naturally, from like ayahuasca, is only found in South America.
That is correct, sir. That is correct. They're extra-dimensional beings in Parlaflex.
But that DMT won't work on you at all unless you mix the root of this other plant that shuts down the inhibitors inside your digestive system.
You got to take the ayahuasca form.
But what you were referring to, Kyle, earlier with the hearing aid and such, almost like an amplifier for receiving another frequency.
What's up, everyone?
Like tuning into another TV channel.
Absolutely. So if we had a sense, like say there was a sense that we could use that is just barely usable, like we might be able to use, like, kind of like how you have an appendix that, is useless now. Well, it's like an appendix in reverse, where it's, in the future it will be developed and it, will be usable. But as of right now, it's really not. But by taking this drug, you actually activate it. And so your body, your mind, the human has like 5 different senses. Well, they have like 13 different senses, but like they have like 5 main different senses. That's, sight, sound, touch, taste, feel, whatever. So what if there's another one where it's like a telepathic communication, and these drugs enhance your ability to receive this information? You get it?
Interdimensionals.
Well, it goes back to when I told you about the CAT scan and the LSD, man. How it activated your brain pathways that basically haven't communicated with each other in 30 years.
So I'm wondering if it's a little bit more than just a psychedelic experience, whereas you're actually physically seeing it, even if you can't physically interact with it.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, because it's only it originates in South America. South America is the only place where you see that style of architecture. It doesn't compare to anything.
Who is that? Put yourself. Hang on a second. Hang on. Orchestrated
Take
Madness.
a wild guess.
I know, dude. For real, dude. Orchestrated Madness. You got to keep yourself on mute, buddy. All right.
Yeah, your mic is real sensitive, and we're picking up just like the sounds of your clothes.
Yeah, dude, everything.
Just moving and breathing, we can hear it. So the only thing that I noticed that was even comparable are the big megalithic stones with the odd cuts and the big, where it's like the line and it goes over and goes up, the L cut. That's what it's called.
Hang on, Sergeant Schill. Let's not smoke on camera, man. Remember, that's what I was trying to say.
A cigarette.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. Let's try to keep that off of camera. The cigarette's fine. But anything else that we want to kind of keep it, just go off to the side. Sorry for interrupting you, Sean. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the Osirion, parts of I think it's what's the one? Pumapunku. And there's another one. They all have these giant blocks, but the way they interlock and make bends and stuff is only unique to a few places in the world. But that's not the architecture I'm talking about. I'm talking about like in Teotihuacan, the shapes of the pyramids, the way they decorate their clothes and their words and everything. It all reminds me of gear work and machinations and machines, and not like anywhere in the world. The way they draw their animals, nobody looks like that and nothing looks like that, but we know what they're drawing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I wonder, like, so you have all these what I think is interesting is when it comes to some of these sculptings or these drawings or these reliefs or whatever, that they have. Okay, like for example, let's just take Easter Island for example. All right, now you have the Moai, correct? And they, they're the giant statue, the giant heads and stuff, right? You guys know them. So those, and like those guys are not representations of people. There's the academics are saying, yeah, they, they're representation of their kings or whatever, maybe even their gods or whatever, but they have this just completely unique look. And at the same time, there are statues on Easter Island that are of the people themselves. There's our statues of the builders of the Moai, the guys who actually live there, the Rapa Nui. And these guys, it looks like a person. It just looks like a normal everyday person. They did a good job.
The distinction between the two, and they know how to do proper, accurate sculptures. And then they're doing these other ones that are abnormal. So that kind of makes it seem like, what were they making it for? Were they part of the same culture that built Teotihuacan and Pumapunku?
It's like it's like they obviously had the ability to create art that was anthropomorphically correct, and all the physical attributes were the same. We our eyes were the same, and our face and everything was in proportion. And so we knew how to do that just fine, and it shows it. But then you would have these gods and stuff that are totally not proportionate. Their limbs and other extremities were, they were like enlarged and exaggerated, and sometimes they didn't even look like people. They were like the one we were showing yesterday, or they had the little guys with big, like it looked like they had big metal heads with like big, huge eyes and stuff like that. It's like, were they depicting the people? And if they were depicting, then there's like, oh, well, they're depicting some kind of a demon god or something like that. Well, how did every artist depict him like that? Or did every artist make the exact same statue? Or did the people see something like that? So you had other people making the same looking statue on the island, and it just makes.
I just realized that there's it. What's the one in Bolivia?
Pumapunku and Teotihuacan, or not Teotihuacan, Tiwanaku. Excuse me.
There's the one it's near Nazca, and it's like where they say there's like all the races of man, and then the statue in the center.
Yeah, Tiwanaku Temple.
That statue in the center is the same shape of the Moai, but also that same shape and position is in Turkey at Potbelly Hill. I can't remember the name.
Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah, in the center of Göbekli Tepe, one of the pillars is in the shape of a human, and they always have their hands like down under their belly, way down low, and they always have like their long fingers.
And that's true. And the Moai do actually look fairly similar to this sculpting of a human, or an alien god, whatever they were depicting. I mean, it seems rather strange. In fact, they say the reason why that statue is so strange is because the human is in fact grabbing one of his 3 penises. And so they're thinking it's some kind of fertility statue or something like that. And I mean, sure, it could be, but
meh.
I don't think so, like I'm like, something's up, that he's just grabbing his 3 penises, I'm like, that dude is an alien.
No.
And it's funny, dude, because it's like, they really do, they look similar. Oh no, you know what's really cool? And I believe this is in Tiwanaku in Bolivia. the statue of Viracocha actually contains a star map on his back, and it shows the constellation of Orion. And it's like, I don't know why they put it on there. The scholars don't know why they put it on there. They just did, and they have the whole constellation like laid out, and something like the constellation is actually something like 40 stars or 39 stars or something. But to us,
and not all of them are visible.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like with maybe perhaps on a super clear night with someone who had excellent 20/20 vision, you might be able to tell that a lot of them, you know, are like binary star systems and stuff. But for the most part, you need, you know, some kind of, you know, you need an aid to help you see.
Why would they put a star map on his back?
I don't know. Isn't that interesting? And
That's
it's like
weird.
It doesn't make
It could be any star. It could be anywhere, and they choose. It's always that.
And it's like they chose Orion. Orion like really stuck out to them. You know, the thing that blows my mind is like, how come they always did Orion? Naturally, to me, if I was going to do a constellation back then, you know what I would have done? The Big Dipper.
Big Dipper.
The Big fucking Dipper. It doesn't make sense that they all chose Orion or Cygnus or any of these other constellations and not a single one of them ever, like, did they all fucking boycott against the Big Dipper? They all have it out for the Big Dipper. I mean, where's the Big Dipper?
I'd like to know how the constellations were given their constellations, shapes, and titles. And it's like, it almost makes it seem like that literally it was just given to them. Like, this is what they are. Don't forget it. Write it down forever. And amen. End of story.
That's really what it is, you know, like that's what it seems like to me anyway.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Like all the connections that can be made between all of these cultures over hundreds and thousands of years, and how it all links back.
You know. So let's take a look at YouTube real quick. I want to see what everyone's saying on there. You promised Kyle never to mention my 3 penises, man. I thought I could trust you. Shut up. What up, Dave? How you doing, buddy? The 2 days, we got 2 days here. Deadwood. All lagging really hard here. All right. Sucks to be you, brother. Let's see what we got here.
So you guys are trying to figure out why everyone was basically depicting the same thing all over the world around the same time, right? Is what I'm catching up on because I jumped in late.
No, Blank, you missed the part. I said that ayahuasca is only in South America, and that they may, you know, the contact stories with ayahuasca and DMT, people say they see the mantis aliens, the reptile aliens, and then the clockwork gnomes are the most common one, where they always see these little people working on machinations. And I'm wondering if the shamans in South America and Central America witnessed these things and instructed their people, because the shamans were like the highest level there besides the chief, but they were above the chief and below the chief at the same time, you know? So I'm wondering if they influenced either influenced or actually were in charge of construction of a lot of the South American style, because you don't see that anywhere else in the world. Their hieroglyphs, their artwork, it's all very unique to South America, and it all reminds me of machinery.
It's plausible. I mean, to me, it looks like we did have a world civilization at one point. We cannot refute that. We can just go back to the story of King Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. That's one primary example. So at some point on this planet, before the continent split, you know, at some point we were Pangaea. Maybe we were around at that time of era. We just are unaware of it at this current time, or is just being suppressed. Either way, there was a global civilization. We all had the same building patterns all over the world. You can clearly see that with the pyramids. Basically infesting the whole
way. There's no way there was a civilization during Pangaea, man.
What if there was, though, Kyle?
That would have been before the time of the dinosaurs. That would have been pre-Cambrian. So it would have been before trilobites and stuff, dude.
Yeah, but think about it like
That's
this.
a little bit too far back, but what I'm saying is we were around at some
Oh,
sort
yeah, absolutely.
when dinosaurs were around. Not all of them died out when we were alive.
I believe so too.
So I'm partial to believe that there was humans when there was Pangea, because we know that radiocarbon dating isn't 100% accurate because things can change the environment's radioactivity. So, like, let's just say it might be possible as to explain why that there's a global sieve. Like, let's say maybe the Atlantic Ocean was a lot smaller or closer, and that's why there's a big link between Egypt and South America. And on the other side, South America, I think it's Argentina, has had contact with ancient China, because ancient Chinese showed the South Americans how to do pottery, and then they showed them designs, and that's how anthropologists figured it out. From a stupid design in a clay pot, it matched one in ancient China.
Oh, they did find a lot of that the Olmecs used to create a lot of their jewelry and their figurines out of jade, you know, which is very rare. Yeah, very rare out there. But the jade in China is huge. Now, in fact, the design looked Chinese, you know.
I'm wondering if the sea level made it so the islands were obviously a lot closer, and it was a lot easier to island hop across the Pacific.
I mean, it was.
I have this question in the back of my mind for a while. Do you think a continental crust displacement would that cause a global flood? Question for all of you guys to sit on. With something with that type of disaster on Earth. Yeah, a continental displacement with crust displacement, would that cause a global flood?
He's talking about Charles Hapgood's theory on Earth crust displacement.
If it did, it would cause water to look like a global flood because of all the tsunamis happening simultaneously. But I'm 50-50 on crustal displacement. But if it was to occur, the water would obviously be displaced over the land, causing multiple tsunamis all over the place at once. So it would appear as a full global flood.
Sea level rise is what you're saying.
Well, it wouldn't actually rise. It would just be displaced, causing tidal waves, which are obviously above sea level, and they walk all the way inland and all the way back out. And they actually have proof for that. And some of these archaeologists and geologists find full chunks of land that have been washed all the way away. I can't remember the guy's name, but I saw him on a documentary dealing with Crete.
I love Crete. So Charles Hapgood developed this theory of Earth crustal displacement, and what he says is that the Earth's crust would shift all simultaneously. So say that you had Antarctica filling up with ice until, you know, like right now, what is it, like a mile thick worth of ice? Well, say at one time it was 5 miles thick, okay, just hypothetically speaking, that it would be so heavy that it would actually pull on the Earth's crust and cause the entire outer shell, the outer, like it was like an orange peel going around the inside of its fruit, like wrapping around, you know, like tearing off and then just swiveling around the inside or the outside of it, and all shifting all at once. And so you could have some place like Antarctica could have been in a tropical zone, like in the equator, and it could have all shifted all at once and plummeted into the Antarctic, into the South Pole, which would,
it's like they're all floating on the water and that they can be moved around without too much damage. But that's the people that think Atlantis is Antarctica, which I'm kind of partial to. It would make sense. It's really close.
I think Atlantis is definitely in the Azores, you know.
But what if the displacement happened and the Azores are the outer parts of the larger island that may have moved or sank? But Antarctica is really close to all of the continents, which would cause them to have global influence. That's why today we don't allow anyone to actually take it, even though we kind of run the shit.
Yeah, but that's not true, dude. Anybody can go to Antarctica at any time. Everyone
I mean,
says that, you know,
We should
that's
all
not what
look
I
into
mean.
it as a group, and I'm pretty sure we're going to find varying answers in terms of the type of leisure that we have in Antarctica.
you can go and do anything you want in Antarctica. There's nothing stopping you, dude. It's not owned by anybody. The only thing stopping you is when it's 140 degrees below zero.
In terms,
Yeah,
in terms of
It's
opinions,
owned by the council,
you
but
know.
we all
I thought
agreed
it was
that
always
no one
Bermuda
owns
Triangle
it.
or Antarctica for Atlantis.
What's up?
Go
Say
ahead, Nick. Sean.
No, say what you said. We want to hear that.
Before, my original theories were definitely Antarctica. It's definitely my top two. So I only have two. And then I thought it was down here in Florida where the Bermuda Triangle is. Where the Devil's Triangles. But it looks like there's multiple Bermuda Triangles on the planet, so I wasn't sure. So my two hunches right now are Florida, by where I'm at, this coastline area where Atlantis is, or definitely Antarctica for sure. Two gold
I
mines.
wonder why would these triangle places, why would those matter
I'm
for
talking about Bimini Run, the Bimini Road that goes toward the Bermuda Triangle, which people say the catastrophic event that happened that sank Atlantis is the reason that there's a portal there now.
Yeah, but why would the other triangles matter?
Well, the other triangle is the Devil's Triangle, and it's
No, that is the Devil's Triangle.
To me, I think the simple explanation for the triangles in the water, I think they're just sunken pyramids. That's, to be honest.
No,
That's
well,
what's causing the anomalies.
Why does it have to do? What do the triangles have to do with the Antarctica, Atlantis?
No, he was
Because-
saying those are his two theories. One is Atlantis is Antarctica, or two, Atlantis is in Bermuda. And I thought the Devil's Triangle was in Japan.
No, that's the Dragon's Triangle.
There's too much emphasis put on triangles, you know, these Bermuda triangles, in my opinion. You take any 3 points, and if they're not in perfect line, guess what? It's a triangle.
Correct.
And that's fucking geometry.
You know, we look for them. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that although I have to disagree with the whole Atlantis is in Antarctica theory. Actually, I disagree with the Earth crustal displacement theory. I don't think there's enough evidence to actually support that happening. I thought it was an
debunked
theory. It could have been debunked. I hadn't researched into it that far, only because I didn't see enough supporting evidence to say that, for me to keep on researching into it, that it had any kind of validity to it.
I would say however, it may have not happened. I would not count it out of the realm of possibility because our planet is a strange motherfucker.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't count it out of the realm of possibility. However, okay, so where the tectonic plates meet, it's like the continents and the plates themselves, in a sense they're floating, but in a literal sense they're actually not. So there's parts in the ocean where the earth itself goes into it, and one part slides under the other part, but just deep in the ocean or whatever, and it's not like you could sit there and watch them just going into each other like an escalator going under, the stairs going under.
You're talking about the different kind of fault lines.
Yeah,
they're fixed. They're fixed,
and they do move. They do pour into each other, but it's a very slow process. So it's not like.
How do you feel about OPARTs?
Oh, I think they're super, super interesting, man. And
so like the hammer that was buried in rock, and they broke it open, and there was a hammer, and then there was a figurine in like a mile down coal mine or something like that inside a chunk of coal. So how does that happen? Wouldn't you think that would mean
wheel?
Wouldn't you think that would mean that there was possibly, let's say, a civilization that amount of time ago, and that the escalator just went down and it folded it down into the next fold and just keep the top layer becomes the bottom layer, just like recycling.
Well, see, one thing is I think that there's an issue, and Sean already brought this up. I think there's an issue with our ability to carbon date stuff properly. So for people who don't know how it works, carbon dating reads the radioactive decay. You take radioactive isotopes and you measure the amount of decay that happens over time, and that gives us a rough estimate of how old something is. But it has to be done on something organic. It can't be done on something like rock or stone or anything like that. It doesn't work like that. And when we date something, what we simply do is we take an object. Say you wanted to date Stonehenge. Well, you can't test the stones. So what you do is you go and you dig underneath the stones of Stonehenge, and you find something organic and you measure that. And that's how you get their date for Stonehenge, right? So that's why it's so... Go ahead.
Those oak parts are buried, okay, like fossils, where, you know, you shouldn't find anything human below a dinosaur bone. But they're finding objects in different layers of strata that shouldn't be there according to the layer's age, if you know what I'm saying. So they find like a dinosaur bone that's vertical. It's not supposed to be that way. It should be flat in the layer. So these things, it's like not just man-made things. There are dinosaur bones that are out of place.
Oh, well, I mean, there's a lot of for people who don't know what OPARTs are, it stands for out of place archaeological artifacts. All right, so it's stuff that's like that shouldn't exist, that they seem completely out of place. And I think they are very, very interesting. And I think that they call into question a lot of our timeline. And like I was saying, that I don't really trust the timeline per se. And so when it says, okay, well, this was, this little figurine was found in a lump of coal that was 200 million years old, there's a, part of me that can kind of disagree and say, well, you know what? I'm not really, I don't really support 100%. I'm like 99%, but not 100% of how we date stuff. And so I think our dating could be wrong, and our understanding of natural geology could in fact be wrong. And so when we say, well, it takes 200 million years for this layer of coal to be produced, for it to exist, that could in fact be wrong. And maybe it only takes 200,000 years. Maybe it only takes 2,000 years.
You're talking about young Earth theory.
Why not look at it from our perspective? What would if we were like that show, Life After People, if we left today, what would be around in 2 million years? What would it look like? Would they hit a layer of concrete? You know what I mean? In 2 million years from now, when they dig down 150 feet, is that what's going to be left? Are they going to hit patches of asphalt as a resource? In a future civilization, because everything is going to.
I don't think layers build up over time. It's not like the Earth's growing like a tree and the rings are the layers. Like there can only be so much material because it's a planet and it's not a growing object. I mean, I guess it could.
Obviously, it is an object that is alive and it is in motion and it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
So you take a 5-section mile of highway in a million years, it might be 300 feet. Pointing on the vertical, like you use the bone example, 10,000 feet below the surface in some deposit in 2 million years. You know what I mean? Like, so anything's possible in that respect.
No, I'm just saying, how does it bury itself? How would civilization on the whole top of the surface, if we all disappeared as a species on another mothership, and then we left everything as it was? I understand things decay, so like buildings would topple, tree matter builds up dirt, but how much could actually grow, and it wouldn't be
think
at
about
the end of the life of the Earth?
Sean, like think about this. Okay, so right now in Egypt, there's an entire civilization underneath, and all the sand and everything. And that's just an easy one. The sand just covers that. Think about the Moai in Easter Island. They are buried up to their heads. That's from shifting earth.
I think it's
volcanic activity and stuff.
And to further the argument, in Egypt, you got old Egyptian sites built on top of older sites, and even older sites.
Rome is like 3 Romes on top of Rome. Rome on top of Rome, and Paris as well. Paris is Paris on top of Paris on top of Paris.
Yeah. Yeah, even like but Ben's saying, even New York and San Francisco are already like that,
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
up on top, and that will eventually, keep happening to where we could be, hundreds of feet below the surface. And also, think about this in 200 million years. I mean, where do mountains come from? Mountain ranges, could still be, evolving today. You could have a giant mountain where we are because the tectonic plate could shift and just upheal an entire mountain,
Yeah.
and just cleave
Yeah.
it right out of the earth. So there are many ways that we could be buried like that. And
So what if we're
civilization could
not
be
the
lost.
first civilization, and that in fact a civilization existed prior to us, and we're maybe more advanced than us, and over a million years, the continents evolved and maybe flipped or conveyor belted down and buried their stuff down in these where we get it now in coal mines.
Oh yeah, and I'm saying, that's entirely possible. I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be millions of years, because in fact, what if our dating is wrong and maybe it's only
Well, yeah. So
100,000,
let's just say as far back as dated history goes back. So let's say like the Sumerian Kings List is the beginning of the new civilization at its new epic, and they have knowledge and
Epoch.
stuff. Yeah. So, what if there was one before that that no one knows about, and we're only finding stupid hammers and trinkets, and they're underground by not just like 1,000 feet. We're talking like far,
Well,
like a mile underground.
I mean, it could very well be. I mean, and I like that you brought up the King's List, because I'd like to touch on that subject for a second, man. So for people who don't know, the Sumerian King List, it names the first kings from the beginning of time, and the kingship was granted by the gods, by the Anunnaki, to men, and so the kings were they were conduits for speaking to the gods, and they were by and large an extension of the gods. And so this is why people worship them, and this is why people all did what the king said, and so the first kingship was handed down, and these kings reigned for, go ahead, tell them, how long did these kings reign for on the king list?
I think it's 30,000 years, or is that
30?
the Egyptian list?
That's like the average for
37,000.
Yeah, for the Sumerian king.
I would say the
some
first human king is the son of one of the ancient aliens or gods,
Mhm.
and
My
that's
bad,
how
I confused.
kingship happened,
Go ahead, Robert.
and that person's worshipped.
No, I had confused the King's List between what you guys were talking about, the Sumerian one with the Egyptian one, because you had said years, and I was saying like 34 to 37 is what it says. But the Sumerian one, I believe some of these kings even reigned for a period allegedly of over 100,000 years.
Correct.
I'm
And also
gonna get the facts.
Egyptian king list does the same thing. When it goes back to Zepi, all right, their kings, just like in the Sumerian king list, and also just like in the Bible, their kings lived thousands and thousands of years. So you have three different ancient sources and ancient texts that are actually four or five, because also in the Hindu scripts, in the Mahabharata, and the any of the Rig Vedas, and so there's all kinds of different civilizations around the world where there was a time before ours, and during that time, the kings and stuff then lived and reigned for thousands and thousands of years, and it was just completely normal and totally acceptable. And right before us, like in the Ice Age, all the kings and stuff and people then lived like an average of like 1,000 years.
There were 8 rollers before the flood, and the first roller ruled for 28,800 years. The second one for 36,000. The third one for 43,000.
Wow.
The fifth one for 28, 36, 28, 21, and then 18. Then the flood swept over. And
No.
then it's going into the new dynasty, and that person was historically uncertain, and that's Josher, and he's 1,200 years reign.
Joser?
Joser,
No.
yeah.
No, Josher, not
Josher.
Joser.
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm familiar with that bloodline. I haven't really dug into how to logically explain that timeline with how they got to live so long. That's another conversation that I haven't even dug into myself. So if you guys
What
want
if
to
they're
dive into that
year-based?
now, but I'm unprepared
wrong.
for that type of conversation on
Okay.
how to work out how the hell they were able to live out that long, even with the environmental circumstances.
Membership at LA Fitness.
Ah, right.
I wonder if their
different-
years were different, like faster,
Perhaps
and it's
that
not really 26,000 years. It's really 26 years, and maybe the Earth was going faster around the sun or something.
perhaps they the environment would have been like it was conducive for gigantism, and we know that from the ice age everything was giant, even the plant life, so the animal life, the flora and fauna were all giant. And so also in the the Jurassic and Jurassic and everything, it just made giants. Well, perhaps these giants also lived for 1,000 years. So the giants that were the remnants of giants that were left over, like of people, like the first people who were giants, perhaps they lived 1,000 years. And then they died off, but they breeded with humans or whatever, and then the humans were living 1,000 years or 900 years, and it seems by the time they got to Moses and Abraham and stuff like that, that these guys were living around 600 years or so.
Can I try and explain?
Go for it, buddy.
There's been different epochs all throughout the ages of the Earth. Okay, now you got like the antediluvian, and the time after. We'll say this. Take the time of the flood. Before it, imagine the atmosphere and the plant life and everything being less tainted than it is now. And from that time, it's taken a very long time. We're talking now like hundreds of thousands of years, other than the 200,000 years that modern humans have been on this planet. It's slowly gotten from the giants, like you're saying, being able to live for so long, to modern man who only lives like 70 to 90 years or whatever. But
our limit is supposed to be 120 years.
Well, show me somebody that lives that age. Like,
well, there are quite a few people.
Yeah.
But that's just like that's like the
Thanks, Obama.
Limit,
We're discounting the people that actually meditate and do yoga. We're like those monks; they live a long ass time.
Well, we're not discounting them at all. We're just,
Yeah, supposedly one of those monks remember meeting one of the Chinese emperors.
Oh,
like
I
a
don't
long
believe
time
those
ago.
stories. Those are YouTube stories, dude. Those aren't real. If you see it on UFO Mania, it's bullshit, dude.
Or like that monk that supposedly mummified himself alive inside that bronze casting.
That's true.
Mummified himself.
Yeah.
Basically pure. Like he's very like.
Isn't that crazy?
Back and do research on him that they.
Yeah. But he
killed.
didn't live. He didn't live hundreds of years. He just lived like a regular guy, but he died in a Buddha position, in the sitting praying position, and was entombed into a statue while he was like still alive and just died. Like, I mean, like that's insane, dude.
Basically, what happened from that is that his body was preserved for a long time for him being in that yoga meditative state, which is the interesting part about that part.
Well, if you read up the story, he apparently was quite emaciated prior to death, and he went through I'm not going to say the length of time because I don't remember it, but an extensive length of time of preparation, fasting, and such to put himself in this state for that death, which is quite incredible when you think of it, because all these steps that he took naturally would naturally mummify the body. He was literally petrifying while he was still alive prior to his death.
Wasn't he drinking like iodine and all kinds of weird stuff?
Some weird stuff, yeah.
Shit.
It's probably ancient knowledge passed down to people within his kin that we don't even know about till this day. Suppressed knowledge that just gets handed down between dynasties. You know, it could be shit like that. You know, there's a lot of things that we still don't know yet that is being held from us on purpose or because we haven't uncovered it yet.
Oh, see, that's the thing. I see. I always hate it when people always say, "Oh, it's being held from us. It's being held from us." You know, it could just not be taught to us. You know, like when you have you like a family's secret recipe for making the best pasta. You know, they don't want to share it. It's like it doesn't mean it's being withheld from us from like the government or something like that. They just simply haven't told us. You know,
that's why I came about it from both ways. It's either it's being so we just haven't learned it in general as a group, as a cohesive.
We just haven't discovered it. You know, a lot of stuff got lost. We've had a lot of cataclysms on a human scale, which were cataclysms to us, merely maybe a flu for the planet. You know, but it's taken its time. You know what I mean? It's taken its toll. I mean, on our history. You know, you had armies that would go in and decimate a whole country's history, burn their libraries to the ground and their knowledge.
All right, Sean. Sean said he'll be right back. One thing I want to mention that I think is well, hang on. Smooth Virus is saying no geological evidence for a global flood either. That's not true. I've actually seen quite a bit of evidence for geological or geological evidence for a flood.
And the 400-foot rise in the sea level
all over the world. I've seen it, and you know, and true academics are out there studying it and making these claims, not myself, you know. So I have to disagree with that. But anyway, moving on, I want to touch on a subject real quick. Speaking of all this ancient stuff, one thing that bugs me is that if you come up with a theory or a hypothesis that goes against ancient alien believers, okay, and ancient civilization believers, like we all are, goes against it, people will freak out on you and lose their minds and say, no, it's impossible. Everything is it's too heavy to lift. It's too ornate to you know, we could have never made something so perfect and blah 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 and all that shit. And it always blows my mind because it's like just because somebody comes up with a theory that, you know, hey man, there's a way that like I have my theory on Pumapunku and how it could have been constructed. And in fact, I show the evidence at the site of Pumapunku and explain my theory. And I think it's a very well thought out theory. And I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it would absolutely work. And in fact, I think the theory is correct. And people go ape shit over this and hate on me like you would not believe. And I think it's so sad because if you want to be, if you want to say that something's not like that's not true, or that, you know, this is true, if you want to have your own theory on something, that's fine. You know, you want to defend your belief, that's fine. But if you're not able to accept that there's a possibility that the truth is, you know, simpler than you think, that humans were in fact capable of doing these things, and they weren't more advanced, they were just clever, you know, and they thought of a clever way of doing it, but they didn't need some kind of high-tech super saw to do it. They just did it with something very primitive, but you know, because they are so incredibly clever, they figured out, hey, let's do it like this and see, and it works. And they're like, oh, all right, cool, let's do that, you know. And to us today, it looks impossible, but to them, they're like, well, hey, we've just figured it out. It doesn't have to be, you know, something so far advanced that humans can't do it. Like, I hate it when people say, oh, humans can't have made Pumapunku. Yeah, we could have. We did. It's there, you know. Or we couldn't have moved the stones of Baalbek. Yeah, we could have. We did. They're there, you know. Like all these things, like, unless you want to say that aliens came down and built it, you know, then it was definitely Homo sapiens. And even if you want to say, okay, well, yeah, but we had a super advanced culture. Well, yeah, of course we had an advanced culture. Look at the stuff we were building, you know, of course they were advanced. so advanced that they couldn't have done what they did, you know. And I think it's not giving humans in a whole enough credit. And I just want to point that out because I had someone saying that shit to me earlier, and I was just like, I think I need to point this out. Go ahead though, continue.
Two things.
All right, go ahead, Robert.
Go ahead, dude.
Okay, I have to agree with you, man. People saying that, oh, we can't build that today, you know, with that precision. Yeah, we can. Do we want to? No, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't want to put the time and money invested into it. But yes, we can. We can. And the second point was with Pumu Punku. That's the H blocks and such, right?
Yes, sir.
Theory on its destruction, because it's at like what, a 14,000 foot elevation in the mountains. What do you think toppled and destroyed that whole plaza?
Probably some kind of a meteor impact, and I think that possibly the Lake Titicaca actually may have had a meteor strike itself and caused a massive tidal wave that would have ran up well onto the shore, you know, and smashed it to bits and pieces. You know, it really looks like a flood, like a wall of mud hit Pumapunku and Tiwanaku and just destroyed it. You know, that's what it looks like to me.
It makes total sense too, because they found city remains, you know, far underwater in Lake Titicaca. So they're assuming that it was shallower way back when. And the other thing with your impact theory, I'd have to agree too, just because of the debris and the scattering,
right,
and everything. And it's at 14,000 feet elevation. You know, that's the height of Mount Rainier almost. That's just shy of Mount Rainier. You know, so, and you and I both know how Mount Rainier looks. So
exactly,
you know, so when you have something to see it visually, you know, it makes you scratch your head. But
now, one thing I think is interesting about Pumapunku, and tell me what you think about this, Robert, is the fact that you have Tiwanaku, which is, you know, a sunken temple, and it's about, you know, 200 yards away from Pumapunku, okay? And, but its construction is a completely different method. They use completely different materials. They had a completely different artisans constructing everything. And Pumapunku is so enigmatic. It doesn't look like any of the other construction sites anywhere around there, you know?
Well, there's the case for that there was an older established, I guess, population or civilization there that came and gone, and the natives came and learned from that. You know, like you're saying, you're regarding like you could literally see it like where the wall is made one way with the certain joints and stuff, and then like 10 feet down that wall it changes because that's where that newer civilization came in and repaired that wall.
That's exactly what you guys are explaining. You're explaining another civilization stumbling onto a post-flood civilization that was drowned underwater basically, and they just built on top of it. That's exactly what
Easter Island. Yeah, Easter Island, they're speculating Robert Schoch is at the lead of that research, as far as I'm concerned, that literally like Easter Island got washed over, like literally like was submerged in the Pacific. And Easter Island 12,000 years ago, when the sea levels were 400 feet,
it was a huge island. It wasn't just.
It was huge. Yeah, it was huge. And I believe it even had some subsidiary islands as well. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know the mainland itself was huge.
I always thought that Easter Island, what happened to them was volcanic in nature, like whereas you see because that's what the moai are made out of volcanic stone. And so I thought that perhaps maybe a volcano did erupt somewhere under the sea right next to Easter Island or on Easter Island. There are tons of volcanoes there on Easter Island.
Yeah, it's right near a volcanic fault, I believe.
And you see these moai, and some of these moai are 70 feet tall, and so I mean they're gigantic, and they're buried up to their chin, and these guys all have bodies and stuff, so it's like, how could that much stuff, how could it be, how could it just by natural wind blowing dirt and everything around, how could you bury up that much of a body?
But you
we're
look at
talking
the
like 30, 40 feet worth of stuff,
No, he's
unless
right.
it was,
but if you look
a volcanic eruption or something. Go ahead.
No,
if you look at the topography of Easter Island as it is now, it's very big, rolling hills, grassy fields, and such. And a lot of that, where they're digging out those moai that are buried, they're finding that it's actually like sedimentary deposits. And the thing is, it's not like, any place, a lake or a river or whatever, it'll build up the sediment deposits in very small layers and very distinct layers typically too. Well, this is showing evidence of a mass depositing. Something that happened quickly, over a short period of time. Now, what the short period of time is, I don't know. Was it a few weeks like the Missoula floods, or was it over 2,000 years? Who knows? I don't know. But it was.
Go ahead, finish.
They were at one time, that's the theory, that it was inundated, and a volcano or an eruption, a sub-ocean seismic activity could easily cause an event like that on an island, especially out in the middle of the Pacific. You could swell a tsunami wave. Your imagination's the limit, really, when you're
Absolutely.
out there, I would imagine.
Blank, go ahead.
From what I've looked like and what we all know, we already know it doesn't look like the Moai heads were underground by volcanic ash. It literally looks like something rushed in by force, which is water activity, and submerged those Moai full body statues.
No, it doesn't look like, it looks like land, like pure like land. It doesn't look like water inundated it or anything, I mean, it's like here, I'll pull up a picture. Let me pull up a picture real quick so you guys can see this. All right. I mean, to me, it looks like land, had rushed over it, not water. Let me see.
Wasn't Easter Island supposed to be?
Can I get you guys to mute yourselves just 1 second? Be quiet. I gotta use the microphone real quick. Hang on. Moai of Easter Island. All right, go ahead. You can take it.
Or were you afraid you couldn't spell it?
Oh, I couldn't spell it, dude. No, it's just faster for me to do it like that.
We're on the same page, at least to some global flood did happen. Because I remember not too long ago, I don't know, we talked about the global flood, but this conversation wasn't happening. But at least now we're on the same page. Whatever happened to those Moai heads, some sort of flood happened. I don't think this was a volcanic displacement kind of action. It doesn't look like it from everything that I've looked at it so far in terms of.
Okay, hang on. Let's see here. All right. So let me show you. What up, Smooth? How you doing, buddy? Here, let's take a look at this. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So, okay, there we go. Now take a look at this. Now you're saying that this looks like water rushed up there. Not land.
That's land mass.
It could have washed over, and that's like sedimentary deposits building up.
This looks like fucking like land. Like this looks like it could have came down from a mudslide or anything like that. This just looks like buildup of land. It don't look like water rushed over this. I mean, where's the water damage on the statue themselves?
Wasn't it said that Easter Island was full of like woodland forests?
Yeah, they cut it all down,
Well, deforestation causes if you take a tree out of the land, the root system dies, and the root system is what holds the land in place.
Yes,
you'll get
correct.
a landslide.
That's
what it looks like.
Absolutely correct. I didn't never consider that. That's very true. If you remove all the trees and stuff, you're gonna have the root system. If you remove the root systems, you're gonna have all the land and all the soil become loose and eventually turn into mudslides. He's absolutely right.
The shocks theory, he's saying that these are like I said, like a deposit. The samples that he's getting back are indicating that and everything. But see if you could find, Kyle, a picture of, say, Easter Island before sea rises. And if you could find the same image that I've seen, it shows you a side-by-side comparison of that 400-foot sea level difference between 12,500 BC and now. and it's pretty impressive. I'm actually surprised you've never seen it.
Never seen.
Graham Hancock uses it in a couple of his presentations, actually.
No, I think I have seen it. I'm
just brain farting.
Yeah, no, I don't like. You're talking about like what, a picture of
It'd be a topographical side by side, Easter Island before the sea rise and after the sea rise.
Yeah, I've seen that on plenty of stuff, man. I've seen that with Graham Hancock and Robert Bouval, man. I've seen that.
Sure. Yeah, so exactly.
I know exactly what you're talking
about. Like the land area, if it doesn't double, it has to be at least triple, quadruple what it is. It's incredible. Like I can't, tell you the exact size, but
look at this, dude. This is one of the Rapa Nui. This is what we were talking about earlier. So this is one of the people there. Yet there's statues, and that's just so interesting. This is them. This is what the workers look like. So they knew how to draw a human or sculpt the human perfectly. But this was their gods.
Maybe a different civilization.
He's got that very Phoenician look to him.
I don't know. To me, those moai could be more recent than the pyramids in terms of those are just, how do I say this, watered down technology from whatever they found post flood.
They are, they are like more recent than the moai are only a few hundred years old, man.
Because you're looking at the technology that they're using and the precision, and then you're comparing this to the other ancient megalithic structure found almost on every point of the planet, and this is not very precise. It looks like these were hand-me-downs, or they had like some third-party technology that they found post-flood. This could be post-flood.
Well, they believe they're not that old. They believe they're not that old, but they're like we were talking earlier, man. Those carbon dates, you can't really go by it, and if that's a sedimentary deposit, you're not going to get a very accurate, thing. But there are theories out there that are pushing. There are theories out there that are pushing, their age way back, further than what we, believe currently, which isn't surprising. They're doing that with more and more civilizations every year.
On purpose.
Especially since Göbekli Tepe, hit the mainstream. They've had no choice. Yeah. But I don't think they purposely hide it, because why would they purposely hide something that funds them?
Because
tourism, you get this great information. It don't matter tourism, but they want the funding for the research.
They're going to keep charging you for all this tourism, whatever they're going to charge you for the shirts and keychains.
Yeah, well, that doesn't interest the academics.
Yeah,
academics, they want their names on papers. They want their names in history. They want to be the discoverers. They're not going to hide stuff like that.
They will also get paid if they get told to shut up. It's like, hey, listen, don't keep going on with this project. You're going to pay this certain amount, X amount.
But to what means? You know what I mean? To what means? The people, what they're holding, Zahi Hawass is holding out so they can sell more merchandise. The guy's going to be dead in 20 years. He ain't going to ever see any returns from any discoveries that come out now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? What are you planning for your grandchildren to make money on the thing? Well, then, okay, I could get it. Maybe hide a discovery or two, but it's a self-defeating purpose.
It's something that I would have pursued in my early life, because it's something that I thought I had a passion for. But it's something that's a side passion for. I still, have obvious enthusiasm about this subject. I do love it. I mean, we're all trying to figure out, at the same time, basically trying to figure out this whole world, or how it was before, we became, I guess.
I just don't blank. I don't see how, and one of that always just threw me for a loop when people would say, oh, like the academics cover up history and they only release so much to us and stuff like that. And it's like, no, dude, like, I just don't see it. There's nothing in it for them. In fact, they have everything to lose by not sharing any new discoveries. They all want to bring out new discoveries. The problem is that you have to break through the old knowledge. So when you have something that we've known for a long time, or we've felt for a long time was in fact true, it takes a lot of evidence and a lot of time to be undone and for us to add something to it. So like we are on the cusp of changing our entire timeline.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we're on the
getting
cusp
by the old guard.
Yeah, and just like Robert said, getting by the old guard when and we are right there, dude. We're about to turn him over and kick him in the butt out of the way, and it's going to change. It's going to happen. Our timeline is going to change, and we will rewrite the history books. And it's just a matter of time. It's just as we keep finding more and more evidence, there's not much they're going to be able to do to stop it. And it's not like it's some dudes in a room, in a smoke filled room, sitting around a table all discussing, hey, let's keep this a secret and let's bring this out and stuff like that. It doesn't work like that, but so when people say they think that it's being hidden from us, it's not being hidden from us. That, I think, is more an excuse to why they haven't found when the person can't get their theory to be believed. Well, because the evidence is being suppressed. Well, no, it's because you don't have your evidence, and when you have your evidence, then you can say it. So when I think it's every time someone says that, it's because they don't have their evidence. When they say evidence is being suppressed, it's an excuse to me, man. Because I don't see academics doing stuff like that, man. It's what they do is they want to make discoveries. They want to bring stuff out to the public.
Can I ask you a quick question then, Tyler?
Go for it, buddy.
If you think they can't suppress things about academics and they don't release it in the near future, what makes you think that these recent JFK files are anything different?
Who says I do?
The same people that at least hinder American progression. I'm just speaking about here in the Americas. I'm not too sure about any other part of the world anymore because they have their own rules and regulations and their own selfishness and how they're going to profit on whatever information.
Yeah.
How does it differentiate from the assassination of JFK and us being lied to and us regaining trust within our own educational government?
What did you learn from these JFK papers that you didn't already know?
Bunch of blotted out documents that had a bunch of black
what did you learn that we didn't already know?
Didn't learn anything. Supposedly now they're coming up with a synopsis that he had more than one shooter, which I already knew.
No, but there's no evidence.
More than one shooter. But let's not get into JFK. Let's not go that far. Let's not go that far. Because then that's gonna be another conversation, man. I don't want to get JFK right now.
Yeah, no JFK, please.
I'm just saying my opinion. I see where you're coming from, Kyle. Logically, that's all, man.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure this shit out. I'm not trying to get into another fucking.
So I went to go wake up Ben because he passed out over here. He was snoring, and I took the duct tape and I threw it at him, and it busted him right in the dick. I'm so sorry, buddy. He was passed out and the duct tape hit him right in the ball sack, dude.
Did somebody say JFK?
Sorry about that.
That's what friends are for, man.
That's exactly what friends are for, right, buddy? Happy birthday.
Unlocking information. How much have they known about what's under the sands of Egypt? And we're just finding out now. There's so much that has to be rewritten.
I think it's a little different, you guys. I've been sharing this whole time. I'm sorry. Listen, when it comes to Egypt, I think it's a little bit different because with Egypt, I think that the Egyptians, basically the Arabs, basically just took claim to Egypt when it is fact not theirs. And if you dig and you keep finding more and more evidence, that you would find enough evidence to support the fact that Arabs were not the builders of the pyramids, and they would lose their whole prestige and their whole stranglehold over Egypt and its glorious past, Whereas what if you keep digging, you keep searching, and you discover that it was in fact black people who built it and not Arabs? And I think that they would do everything they can to try to suppress something like that. I don't know why. It just seems weird because they never want anyone to dig in Egypt anywhere. It takes forever to get permission to dig for anybody. Countries all over the world apply all the time, and they almost routinely get shut down. Now, we all have to agree on that one, right? They all almost all digs, all requests to dig in Egypt almost always just routinely get shut down.
Not just in Egypt.
We can all agree on that, right?
Not just in Egypt, but it looks like it's becoming a main trend everywhere.
What are your thoughts, Smooth?
You're a bit outside my area of expertise, but yeah, I did hear you guys talking about the Zawi.
Oh, there's no
Hawass
drones
guy.
in it, so you don't know what we're talking about.
There's no drones and no computers. I do know geology some.
Hey, Jared, check this out, man.
Is my bag.
Speaking of it, speaking of drones, check this out. I got it, dude. It's the camera. I have to hook it up, you know. And it went through some hell, man. But it's all there, man. I got all.
That's a good camera. You're gonna like it. You could get filters for those lenses too. They sell them in 3-packs.
Yep.
So I got it all.
Did you get the little? There's the handle that comes with it.
No, I didn't get the little handle, but I heard about it. It was actually Robert who was telling me about that. And see, I know this goes like up here, and then this I think goes on the back of it or something, or case for it or something. But this is going to be rather tricky putting this thing together and figuring out how to. I have the instructions, the manual of it, but it is a beast, dude. When you turn on this remote and you see all the functions and everything that's on there, I mean,
it's a badass drone,
dude. It's freaking nuts, man. I had no idea that. I mean, you know, and like everywhere I read, they compare it to the DJI Inspire. You know. He's saying, you see Kyle's a dork. Oh, duh, what did you just now notice this? Are you serious?
Hey, what in Egypt, there's a lady, a Canadian, I believe, a blonde-haired lady. I've seen her on a show. She's the one who's been using the latest satellite technology and overlaying infrared satellite imagery with high-definition imagery and everything, and has been pointing out, like Kyle has brought up several times, all these still buried cities or towns and such, and pyramids. Like there's something like another 90 something pyramids or whatever that still need to be excavated, are completely buried. The only way you're going to see them is through the layering of all this satellite imagery, and it's like looking at like a ghost imprint of what used to be there. It's an amazing thing, and this is something that you guys can even check out online yourself.
Absolutely.
And you could go over Egypt and spot things yourselves. And these sites are all, you know, listed and everything, but permits.
No, there's a ton of sites that aren't listed that you got. I mean, you would be the.
Well, I mean, they're you know? She's got them listed for future, you know, excavations and everything like that. But they're not like listed to go visit or anything. Like they're not discovered yet. But what you call it, the thing is the permitting. And like Kyle said, I think that's the biggest fear. They're afraid that the more they find out, the more they're going to see that they inherited that.
Yeah, I think it's exactly the case when it comes to Egypt. You know, now other places, I wouldn't say that anyone would try to cover up anything or and try to you know, keep any information from the public. However, when you have a civilization, when you have an entire race and, you know, entire country that is adamant at refusing to let people come and study this culture that was the peak of the world. They were the top civilization in the world, and they had achievements and stuff that, you know, blow our minds today. And yet so little of it is allowed. Almost every site in Egypt is heavily guarded. And there are a few exceptions that aren't, but these exceptions are guarded in the sense that if the guards come up and they see you fucking around, you're going to get busted, you know? And I mean, like, I've never seen a place that guards it's, you know, just the sand. So like, it's insane how many guards they have in Egypt to protect people, to stop people from digging, to stop people from researching. They don't even want you taking pictures in the Cairo Museum anymore. I mean, it's ridiculous now.
There's a real interesting short on Vice before Vice went total SJW about the tomb robbers in Egypt just after the Arab Spring. Well, there was chaos and there was mass looting and digging and theft of artifacts. Incredible. It's a really great.
Happened forever.
Oh yeah, but this is a real great treatment of it that Vice does, and it's highly worth watching if you ever get a chance to, if you haven't seen it already.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It still happens to this day, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Robbing graves, looting Tutankhamun's, Howard Carter.
Mm-hmm.
Discovering, robbing the fucking grave, basically. Interesting fact as well. See the guy that was with Howard Carter, Flinders Petrie.
Mm-hmm.
William Flinders Petrie. That's my grandmother's great uncle.
That's awesome, dude.
It's weird as fuck. If you look back in your own thing, you'll see. I mean, there might be some like pretty high up or famous people in your own. Lineage.
In Egypt, they rob tombs. They do everything they can to stop people from, selling ancient artifacts, and basically they, brought it down to almost none because you can't leave the country with any kind of artifacts. You can't do this. They stop you from digging. They stop you from doing anything. And I mean, it's all highly illegal. You do go to jail for it. They don't fuck around. You have places like Peru where you can just end up, you can go anywhere and find tombs in ancient sites. Like if you go to the desert of Nazca, you can find graves and tombs of ancient mummies and civilizations. And I mean, there are pyramids. There are giant pyramids in Peru that are completely unexcavated. They are still buried up in the through the sand. They had no excavation on them whatsoever. So, and it's funny because some of these pyramids exist within the city. So in the city, in the middle of the city, there's a giant pyramid, and it's covered with sand, and nobody does anything about it. Just like, yeah, that's the pyramid. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just the old local pyramid. It's like where all the high school kids hang out and smoke joints and do crack or whatever the hell they do up in Peru.
Sniff gas,
cocaine,
sniff gasoline.
Hey,
face like a bum. You like the Clan Sutherland pipe and drum band?
Sorry.
Do you like the Clan Sutherland pipe and drum band? No, that ain't profiling. Do you like it?
He was trying to make a lame joke, and he just.
It's not a joke. I'm asking. It's not a joke. I'm asking if he likes pipe and drum bands, being that he's in Scotland.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because I listened to that too. That's why I was wondering if you knew about the Clan Sutherland pipe and drum band.
I've never heard of them, but if you go and listen to this, what they call again, the Red Hot Chili Pipers. Have you ever heard of them?
I love it, the Red Hot Chili Pipers, dude. Yes. The Red Hot Chili Pipers.
Yeah.
That's badass. I'll hit you up on the chat part of this about it, not to take away from our subject here. I was just curious.
Yeah, go for it. I've never heard of them, but yeah, go for it.
All right, so let's see here.
I think the use of satellite technology and archaeological excavations is just starting to explode. They're using that, and they're applying that not just in Egypt and the sands. They're using it in South America too.
Absolutely.
Looking for El Dorado.
This is why Nikola Tesla said the future was his. He was able to see all this in his mind. This guy was.
What the fuck does that have to do? I don't know where he just pulled that out of left field, dude. But I'm just saying, he's like, that's what Nikola Tesla. Who the fuck was talking about Nikola Tesla? For what the fuck were you talking about, dude?
I swear to you.
But that has literally nothing to do with what we're talking about here. Like, I don't know how like that comment made even the slightest bit of sense to you, Blank. But hey, to each his own, brother.
I'm a little different. Back in the day when Nikola Tesla was at least prominent to an extent when he was competing versus Con Edison, remember, he was shunned in the scientific community, people pretending like he was a crazy man, which actually we're using at least 60% of his technology here in the United States, and most of the world is too at the moment. He was able to succeed Con Edison versus AC and DC power. He also worked for Con Edison for a certain amount of time, but Con Edison ended up shunning him with JP Morgan because they thought there was no profit in free energy for the world.
I hate being shunned.
There is no profit in free energy, hence the word free.
Yeah, but you can charge, you can make profit on so much money, many other things other than energy. You don't have to leech the human population from energy when it can just be an abundance.
Of course not. But when that's your
The
business,
support and infrastructure.
Yeah,
you know, if that's
we
your
could be
business.
focusing on interstellar exploration instead of worrying how to power our homes on planet Earth, is what I'm saying. They're back.
No, what you're saying is that this conversation had literally nothing to do with the former conversation, and that's what it's saying. I don't know where this one, how you got into this one. Hey,
We went from
I love you
ancients
too, dude.
to intergalactic travel.
Where's my kiss, Smooth? Oh, you think you're so
Looks like-
smooth? dude?
I knew it was coming.
Just the
Oh,
dork
man.
side of it. It's just the way I convision or envision things, but that's just me. And either
I
way,
think
you
it's
can
a way
imagine
for you to bring up a new
in your
subject.
conversation.
That's all, dude.
Hey, there ain't no harm in thinking, man.
No, you know what, dude? When you want to bring up a new subject, all you have to do is say, "Hey, man, so what do you guys think about this?" and just bring up a new subject. You don't have to try to intertwine it in with what we're talking about, dude. Even if it's off topic, it's fine.
It's just
I do
me,
it to him
that's
all the
just way
time.
I am. I'm very random when it comes on to things, but
Yeah.
that's just me. Just trust me. Just people tell me I'm random.
Blank, you weird motherfucker. All right, you guys. Well, I gotta go and drop something off to my girlfriend real quick. So I don't know. I think I'll probably jump on again. Because it's only 6:30 now, so I think I'll probably still do the 8 o'clock show.
Yeah, you're
I
all
was
funky
on-
with the time.
Well, yeah, you know,
I had
on my
missed your earlier one by like 19 minutes. My tooth has been bothering me, so I went and took another nap this afternoon, and I missed it.
Oh man, dude, it was great, man.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna try to come back and do it at 4. But the our traffic, you know, it slowed down. It took us like because we were driving through a fog bank, you couldn't even see anything in front, so everyone was just creeping. It sucked, man, and we had to go all the way to Walla Walla and then all the way back, and so it took a little bit longer. And so we said we would jump on as soon as we got back, which is what we did. But now my girlfriend is messaging me, asking me to bring her some stuff up there. She needs some like baby powder or something, and so I gotta go and bring that to her. So yeah. Shit. You know what? It's like guys who make that noise are never getting laid. You know that, dude?
Exactly.
Right? Anytime a guy's like, "Oh, you're whipped," it's like you ain't getting laid, and you know it. Dude.
It means you play video games every night, dude.
That's right, dude. You know we fucking nailed it, dude. All right, you guys. I'm gonna come back on here at our normal time. So, well, I don't even know our normal time anymore. So,
Jesus Christ, man, Hangout's being a bitch with me.
is it, dude? I know you keep dropping, coming in and out, dude. I mean, it's being a
Yeah.
bitch with everybody, dude.
Well, look at the camera. I've been turning off for a certain reason. Like every so often, if you see it go to my photo, it's because I'm doing something.
Oh, dude, he's saying I got 2 super chats. I didn't see any super chats. Damn it!
You
I wasn't
did.
watching.
You did. I saw
What?
it.
Why didn't someone yell it out to me? Damn it!
I would have if I'd seen
Oh,
it. Man.
thank
I'm
you for the
sorry.
super chat. Oh, Harry Toe. Oh, thank you guys so much, dude. Oh, damn it! Now I gotta play my bass, dude.
Yeah, I wasn't monitoring, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, me neither. I was on the
I was too busy turning off my camera.
I was on that Google page, dude.
I have my camera off all the time for that. That's why. I have my FaceTime on sometimes.
That's a nice camera, man.
Yo, I thought that was a bomb, but made of Legos, dude.
Oh,
What is that shit?
It's a bass.
Yeah. I've
I
never
have-
heard you play before, dog.
For birthday for super chats, dude. You know.
I heard
He
you
plays
talk
with
about
his
that shit that
teeth.
you play, but I never heard you play.
He uses his teeth, man, when he really gets down.
Oh, I love using teeth.
Fucking Clive Burton. That was his name, right? The old bass player for Metallica, Clive Burton.
What was his name? Clive Burton, was it?
Yeah, the original
Cliff
bass player.
Burton.
Cliff Burton, that's it. Yeah. Oh shit, he's been dead since '86 or something like that. Can't remember. Yeah.
That was the one that died.
I remember,
in the bus
man. I was
accident,
in like grade 8, dude, when he died, and I was like, oh no, man, because I just bought tickets for their tour. It only delayed it a month. It came in March instead of February. You can barely hear it, man.
It's because it's a bass, dude.
Yeah, I know, but oh, you don't have it plugged in at all. Okay. You'd be able to plug that through a mixing board through USB, wouldn't you?
What's up?
You'd be able to put like USB mixing board to USB for your guitar right to the computer if you wanted to, couldn't you?
Yeah, I can. I
Yeah.
can already do it like straight to the
Yeah.
computer. Yeah, you know. And you know, I have a
recording and
a
stuff.
mixing board software on the computer. You know, that's actually how I make all my music is through the computer. So
That's cool, man.
thank you guys for the super chats, man. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
I remember when Cubase VST24 was the shit.
Who was it?
Cubase VST24, Virtual Studio Technology 24. It was a 24-track virtual studio from Cubase, and it came out like in the beginning of the 90s, and it was like the shit, man. I mean, the shit. But now I'm sure there's so many better ones.
Oh, I know, dude. Like, you know, and it's funny because they say for like DJs, the main one is like Appleton, you know. And I gotta say, dude, you know, it's okay, but I can't stand Ableton's UI. I think it's fucking terrible, dude. It's like it's the ugliest thing to look at, dude. It's absolutely horrendous to look at. And two, it's the most unuser-friendly interface, hands down. You know, it's and yeah, it can do a lot of stuff. It's really powerful, but I mean, it take you 20 minutes to find anything, man. It's fucking
Scroll through a menu and shit.
I mean, like, it's so annoying. It's like Adobe. It's like using Adobe Premiere. You got to go to fucking school to learn how to use Adobe Premiere and stuff like that. And yeah, you can, most people can use, everyone can use it and do the basic stuff with it. But if you want to do anything super badass, you gotta sit there and study that thing forever, you know? And they could make it easy. They make it hard on purpose for some reason. They could very well make it simple for you to understand, but they don't. They want to put it in terms that you've never heard before, and it's just like
for the analysts, man. It's for the analysts.
Exactly. That's all it is, man. What's going on, Nick? How you doing, buddy? James, doing good. Of course, Cooper. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for the super chat, Alex. You're the fucking man. I will be jumping back on here, you guys. So if you guys, all the people who weren't able to join now, you guys will be able to join a little bit later because it is my birthday. So I want to keep this thing rocking, but I got to go and take that up to my girlfriend before she kills me, you guys. So I will be back at around either 8 or 9. All right. All right, you guys. UFO Proof out.
Later.